Hi everyone, my name is Emer Della Rosa and I am the operations chef here at the Ascari Hospitality Group. Today I am at Gare de l'Est Brasserie to bring you our 3-course virtual dinner in partnership with Crew Wine Merchants and also St. John's Winery. Firstly, I'm going to bring you through all your kits this evening, whether it be your vegetarian or meat option, and then we are going to head into the kitchen to start cooking. So moving on to our kits and what's inside them. So starting off, we have our celery root, we have our pickled celery, our romaine lettuce, our remoulade dressing, a beautiful herb mix here, some Maldon salt and extra virgin olive oil to finish it off, and then we have our compressed Granny Smith apples, and then if you did get the meat option, you will find your crab and also your white anchovy. Then moving on to our main course. Now we have our beurre fondue, which is going to be our sauce for our amazing Ontario ramps and morels. A small bit of cream is going to be added to this beurre fondue, our shallots and our sofrito. Now, if you've gotten the meat option, you'll see here our beautiful braised rabbit. And then onto our vegetarian option, you have your focaccia, your beautiful soft cheese, and also our shaved truffles. Now, last but not least, my favorite part is dessert. So here we have our short crust pastry on the bottom and then a beautiful vanilla creme patissiere on top. On top of this, we're going to build this beautiful dessert. We have our apple crisp and apple compote, a small bit of almond praline, just to give it that nice bit of crunch at the bottom. And then to finish it off with a nice herbaceousness, we have these beautiful picked baby basil. So that's everything. Join me in the kitchen now where we start to cook. We've made our way into the GDL kitchen and we're going to start with our crab and anchovy salad. So here we have all our ingredients. We have our apples, our celery, our crab, our roasted celeriac, our herbs, our dressing, our anchovy, our olive oil and Maldon salt, and of course our romaine. Now all you need is a few spoons, maybe a knife and a scissors to open up your packages, 2 bowls and either a plate or a bowl, whatever you'd like to present this dish on. So we're going to start off by dressing our salad. So we have our romaine lettuce in here. Now I'm only going to plate one of the starters this evening, but you have everything to make 2. So in our bowl here we have our romaine and then we have our remoulade dressing here on the side. So the remoulade dressing is a beautiful mix of mustard, mayo, we have some Riesling in here as well, some Riesling vinegar, and also some celeriac puree. So just drizzle a small bit. You can always add more, but you don't want to overpower. And whatever you want to use to dress, just give that a really nice mix, making sure that all of the lettuce is really nicely coated. Ooh, try not to drop any. And we're just going to let that sit and get that flavor into the romaine. And now to start plating. So we have our roasted celeriac here. Just gonna pop open this bag, tear off the top. Again, you've enough to make 2 of everything. I'm just gonna plate 1. So out it comes. It's layered here on parchment paper to make it really, really easy. So I'm gonna get 3 pieces down and layer that just off center slightly in the bowl. Just plating it like so. And now on top of that, we are going to add our romaine. So I've dressed the romaine perfectly, nicely incorporated in. And I'm gonna layer that just along the side, bringing it slightly away from the roasted celeriac so you're not losing that celeriac on the bottom of the plate. 4 pieces should do us. I'm gonna pop this to the side. And then next we have our compressed Granny Smith apple. So in here we have some bay leaf, we have some lemon, and we also have some simple syrup. So they're a little bit on the sweeter side, but as we know, Granny Smiths are so tart as they are, this will really work well with the dish. So opening this up, I'm just gonna get a spoon. So taking our apples, I'm just gonna dot these around, about 4 or 5 of them, and the smell of these is absolutely incredible. Now putting the rest to the side, you're gonna finish plating yours. And we're just like so. And then next we have our pickled celery. Same thing, pop open your bag. I'm just gonna slightly open that. You can use your fingers if you want, whatever you feel more comfortable with using in the kitchen. And I'm just going to take a nice big spoonful out of this. You can strain them if you want to get the pickling liquid off. That's fine too, but it's all right if some drizzles on top of the salad as well. Putting that to the side, and then just nicely drizzling these, placing them all around the romaine and kind of tucking them into the romaine as well to give it this beautiful plated starter. And now onto our showstopper, crab. Now, the way this crab is, it's already so beautifully salty, so I don't actually need to add any salt to this, which makes it perfect. And you can just kind of break up the bag a little bit, separating all those pieces. And now I'm just going to use my hands. Just dot the crab all along the top, still seeing all that celery, the apples, the romaine lettuce, and our little poke of roasted celeriac on the side. So split this between two of your plates. Then we have our crab on top. And a little bit more on this. Giving it nice height as well. You want a good bit of height on this dish. And now, the last two components are our anchovy. So white anchovy, 2 pieces per. And I'm just going to lay these just across. I'm going to leave the skin side because they're such a beautiful color. Just like so. And then to finish off this dish, we have our herb salad. So this is a mix of celery, chervil, and then celery leaf as well. So into our second bowl that we have here, I'm going to do a small drizzle of olive oil, a small bit of Maldon salt, and giving this a little toss. Taking a small little handful, and we're just going to place on top, and it's okay if they fall over as well. And there we have it. Our roasted celeriac, our dressed romaine, our pickled celery, our apples, compressed apples in our simple syrup at the side, our beautiful jumbo crab on top, white anchovy, and then a mix of our herbs on top. And there you have it, our meat starter for this evening. Enjoy. Now, if you had the vegetarian appetizer tonight, we're going to start plating this. So, bowl right here, we have our romaine lettuce, we have our remoulade dressing, our herb salad, our roasted celeriac, our pickled celery, and also our compressed apples. So, into the bowl goes our romaine. Now, I'm just plating one this evening. So, in goes half this bag of roasted celeriac. And we're going to dress all of this with our dressing. So just taking a spoon, drizzling some of that on. You can use your hands, you can use the tongs, whatever you feel more comfortable. And you're just going to dress this thoroughly with the dressing. Okay, now on the end of this bowl, we're actually going to take a spoon and just plop it down. And then just give it a little swipe along the plate. You can add a little bit more. And you want to just do this on both of your plates. And that's perfect. So we have our dressed romaine, our dressed roasted celeriac, our remoulade dressing on the bottom, and now we're going to start plating. So onto the bowl, we add our dressed romaine, making sure with the romaine that all the crevices are filled with dressing to make sure that it is going to be extremely tasty. And building up, trying to give this dish as much height as possible. And then with our celeriac that's been dressed, I'm just going to dot this around, layering as much as possible. Go, leaving that to the side, and then our 2 garnishes here. So taking up our apples. Now these compressed apples were done with lemon juice, simple syrup, and then bay leaf as well. And they smell incredible. You can really, really smell that bay leaf coming through on these. So I'm just gonna pick them up, lean that so it doesn't spill everywhere. And then I'm just gonna dot this around as well. Kind of tucking it in to whatever crevice you can find. And you can really see there's a lot of layers to this dish coming together quite nicely. And now for the celery. So pickled celery, taking this, whatever way you feel comfortable plating it. I'm just gonna use my fingers and I'm gonna dot this around. Again, putting it into each of the crevices, making sure there's a beautiful height on the dish. And now remember, you have gotten everything to make 2, so I'm only making 1 this evening. So there's plenty to really, really lift all these garnishes there. And there we have it. So nearly there. Our only final component is our mixed herbs. So in here we have celery leaf, we also have chervil and parsley. So into a bowl that goes. And we're gonna season this and then just drizzle a small bit of olive oil on top of it. So in goes the olive oil, not too much. We just wanna coat it and give it a really nice sheen. And then our finishing salt, so we use Maldon salt here. And then just kinda giving that a nice toss like so. Just making sure that's really nice and glossy. And then taking a small handful and dotting that on top like so. As if it falls, okay. It's better to make a dish look natural than make it look staged. So there we go. Our remoulade dressing on the bottom, our romaine, our apples, our celery, and then our beautiful herbs on top. And there you have it, your vegetarian starter. Enjoy. Now moving on to our meat main course. So I have a medium pot here with water in it, bring it up to a simmer, and we're going to start by heating up our rabbit and our confit shallots. Now the confit shallots, of course, are already cooked, but we do want to get the heat thoroughly through them to make them super hot. And same with our braised rabbit. Now all of this juices and jus here, we're gonna actually hold back and we're gonna reduce it, and that's gonna be another sauce that we're gonna have on our dish this evening. So we're gonna pop the shallots and the braised rabbit in here for about 10 minutes just to make sure we heat that through properly. Now moving on to our beurre fondue, our beautiful ramps and morels, and we have a small bit of lavender in here as well to bring through a really herbaceous flavor. So in a small pot here, I'm gonna start with some cream. So this is 35% cream, and I'm just going to turn on my heat to high, add my cream, and I'm just gonna bring that up to the boil really, really fast. So you don't need to slow this down, you just wanna bring it up to a heat. And then we're gonna slowly incorporate this beurre fondue. Now, super important when you're doing this, the beurre fondue needs to be really cold. If it's too warm, the butter will split. And that's the last thing that we want, is this dish to split on us. So have your butter really, really cold, and then you can just kind of crack it off and add it into your heated cream. So once this cream comes to the boil, we can get our butter ready and we can start incorporating that into the cream. So opening this, and have your morels and your ramps ready to go on the side. And then our sofrito here is going to be added in at the end. So this is slowly coming up to a boil here. And this is a bit of a slow process as well. You don't want to rush adding the beurre fondue because again, you don't want it to split. So my cream, it's boiling, nice bit of steam coming off that, and I want to turn my heat down super low. If we're working on a gas range, just small, tiny little flame like I am, and then about 1 or 2, about 2 or 3 actually, on an electric stove. So in here, we add our cold beurre fondue into the pot, slowly incorporating it and whisking continuously. This is a bit of labor of love, but it's definitely worth it at the end to see the result of this beautiful butter sauce that you've created. And just keep adding bit by bit. We don't want to add it all in at once because I guarantee you we will split this butter. Just want to add in small bits at a time And I'll just give you a little look here. You can see it's getting nice and thick. And keep on incorporating bit by bit. And our morels and ramps are actually going to cook into this beurre fondue. Squeezing out the last bit. Into the pot. And heating this through. Keep whisking. Don't take your eyes off it. And then turning down the heat even again. We don't want too much heat in this. And we have this beautiful butter sauce here. Now, into this butter sauce, we are going to put our morels and our ramps. So out comes our beautiful ramps here. We have our gorgeous tops. They'll wilt down beautifully inside the beurre fondue. Our lavender here, which smells incredible. And we're just gonna add that in. Start the flavor, and our gorgeous morels here too. So in they go, give them a little bit of a stir. And into the ramps. So you can kind of just slightly make a bit of a circle shape out of this so they fit into your pot, but they'll wilt down so fast, they'll be great. So in here, now the ramps and the morels, they'll take about 4 minutes to really tenderize and take in all that flavor out of the beurre fondue. The beurre fondue is already seasoned, so it'll take in all of that seasoning for you. So we're just gonna wait for our morels and our ramps to soften and tenderize, and for our shallots and our rabbit, and then we're going to move on to plating. So now that our shallots and our rabbit have been in the simmering water for about 10 minutes, we're going to remove our rabbit, let it rest for a second just on some paper towel, and we're going to get that jus reducing. So carefully remove the rabbit, and we're just going to slice open this bag and then place the rabbit just here on a cutting board or on some paper towel. And remember, we're keeping all of this liquid, this beautiful jus from the braise. Smells incredible. And just popping this down on some paper towel. And we're going to take all of this liquid that's left over, and I'm going to put it into a medium-sized pot here, or a small pot, even a frying pan will work. And we're just going to quickly reduce it to half. So high heat, you don't really need to watch it. Next is our shallots that are going to come out. Taking those out and very carefully slicing open the bag. And we're just going to pop these out here. These are really hot, so do be careful. Onto the cutting board, where we can then cut them in half. Now, our morels and our ramps are cooking away nicely. Now, if you feel like your beurre fondue is just a little bit thick, you can actually just get a spoon from your simmering water here that we were heating up our rabbit and our shallots in, and you can just add a small bit of water just to loosen it a small bit. As you can tell, this beautiful beurre fondue and our soft ramps, our ramp leaves have wilted perfectly. And I've kept that on low heat the whole time. Now, on to plating. And while we wait for this rabbit jus just to wilt down, we're gonna pop this sofrito in there. That's just gonna add a little bit more depth and flavor into this sauce here. In it goes. And that shouldn't take long. It's already coming off to a boil here. You can see the steam coming off it. We have that beautiful flavored jus. Now, onto the plate. First goes 2 pieces of shallots. So I'm going to carefully cut these in half. They should be piping hot on the inside, so do be careful when you're working with these. Now onto the plate. I'm just going to pop one on, and I'm just going to turn them over here. And this will actually work as my stabilizer for my rabbit, because I really want to do, like every dish we've done this evening, I want as much height as possible on this. So just popping down your shallots. This is reducing nicely now, it's come to a boil. And we're gonna take one piece of rabbit and we're just gonna rest it up against the shallots, just like so. I'll turn that around so you can kind of see there. I have my shallots on one side and I've rested my rabbit just on top here. Now, these morels and ramps are just gonna get dotted around the plate like so. And you can use a slotted spoon or you can use a tongs to take it out as well. Tongs work too. And you can just kind of knock off the excess beurre fondue, but that will be going back on. We don't want to lose that amazing beurre fondue. I'm just going to dot those morels around the plate. And there'll be a mad pop of colour here from the ramps. Just want to keep a little bit of an eye on that jus. Just make sure it doesn't reduce too much. Now onto the plate. Just going to pop those ramps on. Nice and tender. You can kind of squeeze through the tops of them to make sure that they're perfectly cooked. And there we go. Just dotting along, have your ramps and cleaning the plate as we go and just finishing it off. Now we have our reduced, so that's after reducing to about half. We have our sofrito in there as well, just to add a little bit more flavor into it. And I'm going to use this as a sauce. I'm just going to scoop out all my sofrito, and that's just going to go directly over that rabbit leg. And that's going to add even more moisture into this rabbit. The fact that it's braised as well, it's causing it to be so moist. But the fact that it was heated up even in the jus, you're locking in and keeping in all that moisture. And lastly, we're just going to finish off with this beurre fondue. And you want to just drizzle it around the plate. You nearly want to drink this or eat it with bread later on. And there we have it, our main course this evening. We have our confit shallots, our braised rabbit leg, our sofrito beurre fondue that we've cooked out our morels and ramps in. Enjoy. Now we're moving on to our vegetarian main course. So I have the oven preheated 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I also have a medium pot of water coming to a simmer. So we're going to start off by adding our confit shallots to the pot of simmering water. Now this will take about 6 to 10 minutes depending. Now they are confit, so technically they are cooked. We want to make sure they're heated throughout. So straight away, just popping them into the water. So next we have our focaccia. Now, as I mentioned, oven's preheating 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the focaccia in, and we're going to turn off the oven. I don't want to actually cook this. It's already obviously cooked. We just want to get some heat into it and warm it up slightly. So I'm going to pop this into the oven now, and then I'm going to fully turn off my oven. Next, we have our beurre fondue with our amazing Ontario ramps. So these were foraged not too far away from Gare de l'Est, which is pretty amazing. So starting off, we have our pot here, and we have a small bit of cream. And what we're doing here, we're actually incorporating it into our beurre fondue. So this is an emulsified butter sauce. And there's a few ways you can make this, and I'll talk about that shortly. Just want to open this and have it ready. You also just want to add your cream straight into the pot. Now, I currently have my pot on high heat, and I'm going to just quickly bring this cream up to a boil and then turn it way, way down, okay? So here we have cream, nice, getting nice and hot, but then we want to turn it way down, okay? It's actually really important as well that your beurre fondue is cold. If you're adding it in too warm, it won't emulsify properly and it will actually just split. So you can tell pot's getting nice and hot. Cream is nicely coming up to temperature that we want it. And now I'm just going to turn it down slightly and start to incorporate in my butter. Now this beurre fondue is literally just a butter sauce. Exactly what we're doing here, but how this was made. It was just plain butter added into cream. So my cream, nice and hot. It's only coating the bottom of the pot, which is perfect. And you can just start to squeeze it out slowly. This is medium to low heat. Better low than higher, especially when it's your first time doing it, okay? And then I'm just gonna squeeze out a little bit and start to mix it in. You wanna constantly keep whisking this to make sure that it doesn't split. And just keep adding it. And if you feel like it's gonna split, just take it off the stove for a second. Now, as you can see here, it's a really nice thick butter sauce. So it's coating the end of the pot, it's nice and thick and it hasn't split. So heat on low. And now keep incorporating in this butter, just using your fingers to push out and just squeeze out all this butter from the backpack bag into the pot and just keep stirring. Just keep stirring. Don't take your eyes off it. Now, if you feel like your pan has gotten too hot, as I mentioned, take it off the heat, put it on a cold surface, and it will just slow down the cooking altogether. And I'm just gonna take out the last of this. And if it has split, which hopefully won't happen to anyone, just add a little bit of water and it will stop that from splitting. Keep stirring, incorporating in that butter into that cream, low heat or no heat, especially if there's a lot of residual heat in your stovetop. Sometimes when you're working with a gas stovetop, there's a lot of residual heat. So I've actually just turned mine off now. And now in goes our ramps and our morels. And we also have a beautiful piece of lavender in here as well. So now I'm cooking for one, so I'm just gonna do 2 ramps and popping that in. The ramps will start to wilt away straight away. And I'm gonna take my 3 morels, pop those in, and my beautiful fresh lavender as well. So in that goes. You can see it here in the pot. And I'm just gonna let that sit for about 3 to 4 minutes, and we just want the ramps to get a little bit tender, and same things with the morels. Now, the butter's already seasoned, so they'll take on that flavor and that seasoning really, really well. Now that our ramps and our morels have been cooking for about 4 to 5 minutes in our beurre fondue on super, super low heat, so that doesn't split, just been cooking away nicely there. We're gonna remove our focaccia from the oven, firstly. Can't grab it. Carefully take that out. And also our shallots can now come out from the pot of simmering water. These have been cooking for around 10 minutes and you can tell by the touch that they are quite hot. So firstly, I'm gonna open my bag of shallots. Just be super careful because these are very, very hot. And I'm just gonna take them out with the tongs. Just the 2 I need for plating here. And I'm gonna cut them lengthways. Just down the center, just like so. And this is gonna sit on top of our focaccia. So very carefully, because they are extremely hot. Whew. Hold them with the tongs. Cutting down the center, and beautiful, steamy, confit shallots. Now onto our plate, we're gonna lift over our focaccia. Now the focaccia's on the plate, we're gonna add our cheese on top. So just cutting open here. And this is definitely important that it's at room temp, because there's gonna be so much more flavor to it. So we're gonna carefully lift this up with a spoon. Because it is at room temp, it'll be very, very soft and a little bit hard to work with. We'll just be patient and we'll just drop that on top of our warmed focaccia. And the rest of the side. And then onto that goes our truffles. Just a few slices of truffle on top of our cheese on our focaccia. All the little bits there. And then on top of this, we're going to put our shallots. So on top, I'm just going to place that, and the cheese will help holding those shallots in place. I'm going to break them up and use a little bit less, just so they don't start to slide off like so. And build them up, giving that dish a lot of height as well. And now for our beurre fondue, just giving it a mix, making sure those morels are nice and soft and tender, and also those ramps are beautifully cooked through. I'm going to take one of these off because they are so large. Take one off, just pop your morels around, and these are beautiful, soft and tender. And that butter is so perfect, so seasonally. There'll be so much flavor in the morels. And then with our ramps, I'm just going to lay these on top. And see those leaves have wilted in the butter. And resting that on top. That kind of butter's falling down there. And now I'm going to add my sofrito to the butter. And this will add more flavor into the beurre fondue as well. And then I can just drizzle it on top of the dish. Straight over, and just drizzling that down onto the plate, and as much as you like. And there we have it, our vegetarian main course. We have our focaccia, our beautiful soft cheese, our beurre fondue, our morels, our truffles, and our ramps. Enjoy. I hope you all enjoyed your evening so far, your starters and your main course. And now we're on to dessert, my favorite part. So here we have a short crust pastry with a beautiful pastry cream and vanilla in here. You can see all the vanilla seed in the creme patissiere, and that is just so beautiful and adds so much flavor. So here we have our apple piave. So we're just gonna pop this out. And you will need some sort of spatula. I have this monstrosity of a thing here to help me out, and I'm just gonna pop it up and then slide it. You just want to slide it directly into the middle of the tart. So on top it goes, into the middle. And now next is our apples. So we have our apple compote here, and you can just take a small bit on the top of your spoon, and using your fingers as a guide, you can just kind of start to drop them and place them all along the edge. Very carefully and delicately placing them all along the edge. And we do want to actually cover up the pastry cream with the apples, and that's how we know we've used the right amount as well. So we have that apple compote dressed all along, making sure it's nice and neat. And on top of that goes our almond praline. So you can just sprinkle this. I normally put my hand like this to stop it from going everywhere. All along the outside. Anything that falls off, you can just pop it on top. And then we have our fresh baby basil. So just a few pieces. And if it's a little bit long, you can just nick off the bottom of it. And you're just going to pop it inside the apples just to secure it. And you just want 3 pieces all around. Again, if it's just a little bit long, like so, just want to snip off the bottom and then place it in. Now, I'm just going to clear off the table here. And this is our finished product of the night. Our beautiful short crust pastry at the bottom, our pastry cream with vanilla, our compote, our lovely praline, which Don't be scared to add a little bit more if you want to. And then our fresh basil on top. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so happy to be in partnership with St. John's and Crew Merchants Winery. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.